गौराचंदेर आरती के शोभा कि बजयो जयो गौराचंदेर आरती के शोभा कि बजयो जयो गौराचंदेर आरती के शोभा जानावी तातावाने जग मानलो बा जानावी तातावाने जग मानलो बा कि बदाखी नैनीताय चान बामे गदादारा दाखी नैनीताय चान बामे गदादारा कि बदाखी नैनीताय चान बामे गदादारा निकाते अद्वैदासिनी वास छत्रधारा निका वास छत्रधारा कि बबोशी अचे गौराचान रत्न सिंहासने बोशियाचे गौराचान रत्न सिंहासने किंवा बोशी याचे गौराचान रत्न सिंहासने पोशी रत्न सिंहासने आरती कोरे ना ब्रह्मा आदि देवगाने आरती आदि देवगाने कि बनर हरि आदि कोरी चामर दुलाया कि बनारा आदि कोरी चामर दुलाया संजया मुकुंद वासु घोष आदि गाया संजया मुकुंद वासु ओ कि बशंका बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताला जे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताला की बशंका बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताला माधुर मृदंगा बाजे परम रसाला माधुर मृदंगा बाजे परम रसाला
माधुर मृदंगा बाजे परम
रसाला शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे
शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर मधुर माधुर बाजे
हो माधुर 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 बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे
माधुर 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 बाजे
हो शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे
शंखा बाजे घंटा बाजे
माधुर 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 बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे
माधुर 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 बाजे
हो शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे हो माधुर 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 बाजे
माधुर 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 बाजे
हो माधुर 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 बाजे
माधुर 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 बाजे
हो शंका बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे का बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 हो गौरंगेरा रतिक शोभा जग जन माना लोबा जग जन माना लोबा हो गौरंगेरा रतिक शोभा जग जन माना लोबा हो जग जन माना लोबा गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय हो जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय हो जय गौरा चंदेर गौरा चंदेर गौरा चंदेर जय गौरा चंदेर हो जय गौरा चंदेर जय गौरा चंदेर जय गौरा चंदेर जय गौरा चंदेर हो जय गौरा चंदेर गौरा चंदेर जय गौरा चंदेर जय गौरा चंदेर शिव बहु कोटि चंद्रजीनी वदन उज्ज्वला बहु कोटि चंद्रजीनी वदन उज्ज्वला किब बहु कोटि चंद्रजीनी वदन उज्ज्वला किब बहु कोटि चंद्रजीनी वदन उज्ज्वला गला देसे बनमाला कोरे जलमाला गला देसे बनमाला कोरे जलमाला किव शिवा शुका नारदा प्रेमे गदा गदा शिवा शुका नारदा प्रेमे गदा किब शिवा शुका नारदा प्रेमे गदा गदा शिवा शुका नारदा प्रेमे गदा गदा भक्ति विनोदा देखे गोरा रसंपादा भक्ति विनोदा देखे गोरा रसंपादा भक्ति विनोदा देखे गोरा रसंपादा गोरा रसंपादा कि बजयो जयो गौरा चंदे आरतिक शोभा जयो गौरा चंदे आरतिक शोभा जानावी तातावाने जग मान लोबा जानावी ताता जानावी तातावाने जग मान लोबा जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्तवृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत श्वेत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। ओ जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद। श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद। श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। जय नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। हो गौर भक्त वृंद गौर भक्त वृंद गौर भक्त वृंद गौर भक्त वृंद। हो गौर भक्त वृंद गौर भक्त वृंद गौर भक्त हो गौर भक्त वृंद गौर भक्त वृंद। श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। हरिहराय नमः कृष्ण यादवाय नमः। ओ यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः। गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन। गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन। गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन। गिरिधरी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन। मदन मोहन मदन मोहन मदन मोहन ओ मदन मोहन मदन मोहन। ओ गिरिधरी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन। ओ श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत सीता। हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता। ओ भगवत गीता भगवत गीता बोलो बोलो। ओ भगवत गीता भगवत गीता ओ हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ। श्री रूप सनातन श्री जीवा गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ। गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो बोलो बोलो। ओ गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो। ओ गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो। ओ गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो। ओ गोविंद 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 बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो। ओ राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो बोलो बोलो। ओ राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो। ओ कृष्णा कृष्णा बोलो राधे राधे बोलो। ओ राधे राधे बोलो कृष्णा कृष्णा बोलो। ओ राधे राधे बोलो कृष्णा कृष्णा बोलो बोलो बोलो। ओ राधे 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 बोलो कृष्णा कृष्णा बोलो ओ राधे राधे बोलो कृष्णा कृष्णा बोलो ओ राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो 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 ओ राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो ओ हरे कृष्णा ओ कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे ओ हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा ओ कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे ओ हरे राम राम हरे हरे ओ हरे कृष्णा ओ कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रहलाद लाद दायिने हिरण्यकशिपोर्वक्षः शिलटङ्कानकालाय इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह यतो यतो यमिततो नरसिंह यतो यमिततो नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंह ओ नरसिंहादिम शरणम प्रपदे तव कर कमलावरे नकाम अद्भुत श्रृंगाम दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगाम केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे ओ जय नरसिंह दे जय नरसिंह दे जय नरसिंह दे जय नरसिंह दे ओ जय प्रहलाद महाराज भक्त प्रहलाद जय प्रहलाद महाराज ओ हो जय जगन्नाथा जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा माँ जय सुदर्शन चक्र हो जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान हो जय प्रभुपदा जय गुरुदेवा जय प्रभुपदा श्रीला गुरुदेवा प्रभुपदा जय गुरुदेवा श्रीला गुरुदेवा निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि हो निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल जय ओम विष्णुपदा परहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य श्रुतराचार्य श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन गेशिला ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपदा परहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य श्रुतराचार्य श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम सिको श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपा गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की सामवेद भक्त वृंद की गौर प्रेमानंदे all grace to the assembled devotees all grace to the assembled devotees all grace to the assembled devotees all grace to Shri Guru and Gauranga all grace to Srila Prabhupada की नरसिंहदेव भगवान की भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की बोल प्रेमानंदे श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपदाय भूतले भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी ऋषिशून्य पाशतले जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय सुंदर वाला सच्ची दुलारा प्लेयर वेर इज श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरि मराय सब लोग है ना सिंपल सुंदर बाला सची दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में सुंदर बाला सची दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में सुंदर बाला सची दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में सुंदर
बाला शची दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि
कीर्तन में बाले चंदन तिलक मनोहर अलका शोभे कपोलन में बाले अलका शोभे कपोलन में सुंदर बाला सची दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में
सुंदर बाला शची दुलाला नाचत श्री
भाले चंदन तिलक मनोहर अलका शोभे कपोलन में भाले
चंदन तिलक मनोहर अलका शोभे कपोलन में
सुंदर बाला शचि दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में सुंदर बाला शचि दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में सुंदर बाला शचि दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में सुंदर बाला शचि दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में सुंदर बाला शचि दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में सुंदर बाला शचि दुलाला नाचत श्री हरि कीर्तन में बाले चंदन तिलक मनोहर अलका शोभे कपोलन में बाले चंदन तिलक मनोहर अलका शोभे कपोलन में हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 नाम संकीर्तन की जय।
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Haribo, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's everybody chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Radha Nila Madhava ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Jai. So today we're going to hear about Sudha Bhakti, that is transcendental devotional service. There are different levels of devotional service, but the best level is called Sudha Bhakti. It's the activity of the soul proper. In other words, engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is performed in a liberated condition. And this is explained in Bhagavad Gita, Mamchayo Vibhacharina Bhakti Yogena Sevate Saganam Samatityayitam Brahmabhuyaya Kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So the question here is, what does it mean to transcend the modes of material nature? The modes of material nature are goodness, passion, and ignorance. So, in the age of Kali Yuga, which is the worst time to be in this world, because hardly 25%, and usually less than that, of the population are interested in spiritual life. 75% are not interested at all. And that 25% is diminishing right now. So, in such a situation, how can we make spiritual advancement? That is a good question to ask ourselves. And the answer is associating with genuine devotees. Association with good devotees who actually follow the regulative regulative principles is the best way to make spiritual advancement. Simply reading books is not enough. And performing rituals is good, but that's not enough. But engaging in devotional service, active devotional service, in the association of genuine devotees, that will make someone a devotee. For example, some people think that, they see a movie and then afterwards they say, oh, this movie was so good, it's a life changer. It doesn't change anything. Movies don't change anybody's life. Why? Because the movie is for entertainment. It's not for changing someone's life. Of course, maybe the producer of the movie thinks that it changes someone's life. But right away, let's ask, what is the goal of the producer of the movie? The goal of the producer of the movie is to make money. So how can they become, able to change someone's life if their goal is to make money? Okay. So then we can ask, how do you change a person's life from being a Vishayi, meaning a sense gratifier, to being a devotee? Well, that person should associate with devotees, people who are following spiritual principles and who are happy doing that. Like if you meet a person who is a devotee and they're not really happy, and you can say this person is not happy, then you'll think, well, wait a minute, if I become a devotee like this person, I won't be happy either. So people do not want really to associate with people who are not happy. They want to associate with people not only who are happy, but who are also engaged in genuine service for the Lord. So this is a criterion that you have to look at. If I engage, well, first of all, right now, am I happy? So many people say, yeah, I have plenty of money in the bank, and my kids are going to good schools, and my husband, well, he could be better, but we can tolerate him, and so forth. Those are not really criterions to know if one is spiritually, let's say, situated. The real criterion is, do I enjoy being in the association of genuine devotees? Do I enjoy engaging every day in devotional service? Do I want to help many other people become Krishna conscious also? So those are the types of, let's say, feelings and desires that are necessary to be a good devotee. The good devotee wants to spread Krishna consciousness, wants as many people as possible to be Krishna conscious. Why? Because that is Krishna's desire. We were all originally with Krishna, but we decided to walk away from Krishna voluntarily. Why? Because we have limited free will. Why do we say limited free will? Because it's limited to two things. Either you accept Krishna's instructions or you don't accept Krishna's instructions. If you accept Krishna's instructions and actually follow them, you become a devotee. And the best way to follow them is to associate with good devotees. It's much more difficult if you're living alone, far away from devotees. You can still follow, but it's more difficult. But if you live in the association of devotees, it becomes more easy to continually, in a serious way, follow the regulative principles and eventually get initiated. Now, initiation is the most important. Let's say there are two major decisions you have to make in life. One is who you marry, and the second one is becoming spiritually initiated. Being spiritually initiated, you make a vow, just like you make a vow when you get married. What is the vow? Well, when you get married, you make a vow till life do us death. In other words, you're going to go through the whole life associated with the person that you marry, and there's no question of divorce. At least that's what you promise. I mean, a lot of you are married. Do you remember the priest that married you? Did he say, well, you can get married, but anytime you want, you can get divorced? Did they say that? No. They say, till death do you part. And even when you die, you're not separated. You'll see that in the spiritual world there are many couples that are liberated together because they practice Krishna consciousness together, and after they die they continue to be together in the spiritual world. Right? So it's not just until you die, it's eternally, because we have eternal souls and we never really die. That's the whole point. And we have to realize that. We can't identify ourselves as just a body, because the body is subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. That's not who we are. We are the soul that animates the body with life, that animates the body with consciousness, that animates the body with activity. So that's who we are, that soul that's doing this. And most people don't identify with the soul, unfortunately. So they say, oh, I'm Gujarati, or I'm Punjabi, or I'm this, or I'm that. That's a false identification. You can be, in life, people can change their identification many times. Like, you're born in India, and you say, I'm Indian. You come to the United States, and you say, well, I'm an American Indian. And eventually you might say, well, I'm just American. Okay? And you move to Japan, and eventually you'll probably say, I'm just Japanese. But that's not who we are. Our bodily identification is false. If we identify with the body, it's a false narrative. We have to identify with the soul. So our real identification is, I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now we're talking seriously. So along with that identification, there's a lot of responsibility that comes. You have to follow the rules and regulations of spiritual life. No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and also regularly going to sleep early, waking up early in the Brahma Muhurta period, which is around 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning, and doing spiritual duties, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And just like it said, early to bed, early to rise, it makes a person healthy, wealthy, and wise. Well, actually, it's healthy, happy, and wise. Because waking up early every day gives you time to think about what is most important in your life. And what is most important in everyone's life is their relationship with Krishna. We identify ourselves by the relationships we have. You can't really identify who you are in a vacuum. If you're living in a vacuum, you won't be able to understand who you are because there's no relationship with other people. But in the relationship, if you choose to relate to genuine devotees, now you can identify yourself also as a, let's say, promising devotee. Promising means you make some promises. When you get initiated, before being initiated in Krishna consciousness, you may or may not follow all the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness. But as soon as you get married, or as soon as you get initiated into Krishna consciousness, you promise to follow rules and regulations. And what are the rules? No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. Those are called the yamas, things that you should not do. And then there's the niyamas, things that you should do. Chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, why should we chant Hare Krishna? Why don't we just chant Hallelujah? Because we want to associate with Krishna. That's the whole reason we chant Hare Krishna. There's no difference between chanting the holy names of Krishna and Krishna himself. Now, this is a mysterious thing. We don't really think in these terms, but when you come to spiritual life, you begin to understand that there are certain things that are called transcendental. They're not subject to the laws of material nature. The laws of material nature are birth, death, old age, and disease. And in those things, there's also lust, anger, greed, and there's envy, and all kinds of positive or negative desires and feelings. In spiritual life, one is always praying. That's how you recognize someone who's a devotee. They're always praying. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, can you actually live like that, always praying? The answer is yes. Because many people live without ever praying. But they're talking nonsense. Oh, they say, "Oh, did you see the basketball game last night? It was really great." And so they're talking nonsense all the time. So that proves that you can be talking about something all the time. Now, if that something is basketball, it's nonsense. But if that something is Krishna consciousness, that's spiritual life. It all depends on what we're thinking about and what we're talking about in our life and how we identify ourselves. If I identify myself with my body, like someone you might say, who are you? So, well, my name is Mr. Gupta. I'm a Gujarati. Another person will say, well, my name is this, and I'm a Punjabi. And another person might say, I am this, and I am American. So those types of names or identities are actually false. The only real identity we have is that I'm the eternal servant of God, or Krishna. That's who I am, because that is Sat. Sat means eternal. We should identify ourselves always with what is eternal, and we should engage ourselves with what is eternal. Like, for example, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is eternal. You cannot know when it began, and it definitely not going to end. So it's something eternal. It's Sat. Therefore, if we associate ourselves with what is eternal, like if you say, my name is so-and-so, that's not eternal, because next life it could be something else. Another name, another family, another type of body. It's not, and there's no guarantee that that next body will be human. But there is a guarantee, and this is important, there is a guarantee that if you spend this lifetime practicing seriously Krishna consciousness, that's the last lifetime in the material world, in the material body. You'll get your spiritual body and go back to Godhead. Now, we do have a spiritual body now also, but it's covered by the material body. And because that covering of the material body is there, we make the mistake of identifying with the material body and ignoring the spiritual body. There was one lady once who bought a very expensive parakeet and bird, and bought a golden cage for the bird. And every day she would polish the cage. Polishing the cage, but not feeding the bird. And after some time, the cage was brilliantly gold colored, and the bird was dead. So that's what most people are doing right now. They're polishing the body and ignoring the soul. That's a very dangerous type of life, because that means if you ignore the needs of the soul, then next body, you don't need to have a human body, because animals, they're not conscious of having a soul. They're not conscious, or they're not capable of understanding the relationship with God. So you will never see an animal who builds a temple of worship. No. In fact, if you let them into the temple, they might pee in the temple, or pass stool in the temple, and in different ways, because they don't understand what the temple is. They're animals. It's not that they want to be, let's say, doing things that are not proper. It's just that they're dogs. If they have to pee, they pee. It doesn't matter if it's temple or if it's outside. So we can't expect a dog to be Krishna conscious. The dog can act in a way that, they listen to their master's orders. The master says, come here, and the dog will go there. Sit down, the dog will sit down. Now chant Hare Krishna. Nothing. The dog's not capable of doing it, see. But you can train your child. Now, children are like animals in the beginning. They only eat, sleep, mate, and defend. Right? But as they grow up, they can be trained to become genuine devotees. And there's a principle. The principle is monkey see, monkey do. So if in the family, the parents are both Krishna conscious and always acting in Krishna consciousness, which means always chanting Hare Krishna, always offering their food before they eat, and then getting the food back as prasadam, and eating only prasadam and giving their kids prasadam, and in that way, and then coming regularly to the temple with their children. And that's important. You shouldn't like drive to the temple and put your child in like one of the classrooms where there's some teaching going on, and you wait outside, or you go do some shopping at Costco and then come back and pick up your kid. That is okay, but not good enough. One must be educated along with the child together. So when the child is sitting with you and hearing about Krishna consciousness and learning about Krishna's consciousness, the parents should be there also. It's not that you just leave the child in the classroom with the teacher and go somewhere else. It's much more effective when you're sitting with the child and learning with the child, receiving the homework with the child, doing the homework with the child. That way, it's real. It's not what the situation that's not real is. The parents are sitting watching television. They tell their kid to go do homework. That's not real. Of course, most people do that, but the parents and the children should be educated together, and the parents should be very actively, very proactively engaged in the education of the child. That's called real association. The parent does not give her child or his child to a non-devotee for education. How can a non-devotee educate your child? Well, you might say, oh, well, of course they do. They teach them arithmetic and calculus and all these things. But that's not real education. Real education is how to be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. That means now you have something that is eternally beneficial for you. Learning calculus or differential equations is not going to save you at the moment of birth and death. Now, should they never learn that? No, they can learn that also. But the real education is how to become a genuine lover of Krishna. Love is the most powerful, let's say, energy in the world. A person who falls in love with Krishna will never leave Krishna. They'll always chant the names of Krishna. They'll help other people understand who Krishna is. They'll spread Krishna consciousness. They'll always be engaged in devotional activities and never engaged in any sinful activities. Like sometimes people say, well, why don't you come to the party? We're going to have nice barbecue and beer and have a great time, maybe smoke a little marijuana also. Actually, nowadays, it's amazing. There are Hindus that actually do those things. They smoke marijuana, they eat meat, they have parties, they do all kinds of silly nonsense things. How come that happened? It's called Bollywood. Bollywood and Hollywood. Those two things have destroyed the real culture of everybody, Americans as well as Hindus. You don't learn anything spiritual by watching these type of movies because they're not meant to teach you Krishna consciousness. They're meant to entertain you and purposely destroy Sanatana Dharma. If anything has injured Sanatana Dharma, it's Bollywood. Because previously, if you go back 50, 60 years, movies were nice. It's how much a mother loved her child and the sacrifices for the child and things like that. Nowadays, all that is forgotten. It's all about pyar, this false nonsense type of love, but it's actually sex. And before that, it was not there, but now it's very much prevalent in the Bollywood movies, just like it is in Hollywood. So that's called the slippery slope. You start out with nice themes, just like if you go back 40, 50 years, and most of the movies from Bollywood were going to Muslim countries because they were good movies. They were about how much the son loves his mother, or how much the mother is sacrificing for her children, or how much they are working together to protect each other and so forth. They were good, very, very good themes. Nowadays, it's Bollywood, Hollywood, there's no difference. This has destroyed, or it's destroying, Sanatan Dharma. If you sit down for 3 hours or 2 hours and watch a movie, not only you have lost 2 good hours of your life, but you're becoming convinced that engaging in sense gratification is okay, because you're watching a movie in which principles of devotional service are being violated. So that's something we should definitely not spend time watching, because that will gradually weaken our determination to be Krishna conscious. Now, what does it mean to be Krishna conscious? Does it mean you're going to be miserable and unhappy the rest of your life because you have to do this and do that? You know, it's more fun just to sit down with, some beer or or smoke marijuana and watch television. No, actually, it's much more. Gives you much more happiness to be Krishna conscious, because you'll be singing, you'll be dancing all the time. You'll be doing good things, not only for yourself but for your family and for others. And you go out in the streets and jump up and down and be helping other people become Krishna conscious by chanting Hare Krishna. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, I'm embarrassed. I don't want to go out in the public and sing and dance. They might think I'm crazy, or maybe a co-worker of mine will see me in the streets chanting in Hare Krishna, and they'll think I'm crazy. Well, no, you're not crazy. You're actually doing things that are genuinely beneficial for society, because you're chanting Hare Krishna and you're distributing prasadam, and you're giving chance to people to get some literature they can read. It's about Krishna, and you are inviting them to come to programs that we have or festivals that we have. So you're not crazy. You're actually doing this out of love and devotion for Krishna. And because Krishna is in the heart of every living entity, it doesn't matter whether they are a Christian or a Muslim or they are atheist, you are trying to help everyone become Krishna conscious. Now, is the Christian Krishna conscious? Is the Muslim Krishna conscious? Well, they have definitely, they're practicing some spiritual practices and getting some spiritual attachment. Are they going to go back to Godhead? Well, if they're completely sincere, yes. But to be completely sincere, you would also have to give up eating meat and give up illicit sex and gambling and intoxication. Now, how many of the Christians today and the Muslims today give up those things? Well, some of them do. And they also, the Muslims will pray 5 times a day. And the Christians, if they're really good Christians, they'll be praying all the time. You have the Christian prayer book. There's a prayers that you should say every hour of the day. It's called the hour book. You might never have seen it, but it exists. And especially in the monasteries, the Christians follow this. The Christian monks and nuns, they follow this. They have a 24-hour prayer book, and they're always praying. See? So we're not the only ones that are always chanting Hare Krishna. You have the Christians and the men and the women, the priests and the women, monks, or followers. I mean, my auntie, she was not a monk, but she had her 24-hour prayer book, and she was saying prayers as much as she could, every day. But there is the 24-hour prayer book in Christianity, whether it's Catholicism or not. My great auntie, she was a follower of the Armenian Christian tradition, and she had her 24-hour prayer book. I would see it, and she would be praying as much as she could. So the Christians, they are also Krishna conscious if they're praying, sincerely to God 24 hours a day or a certain number of hours a day. They also can become Krishna conscious. Meaning, what does it mean to be Krishna conscious? It means you become a lover of God or Krishna, and you eventually, because you're so intensely involved in praying and so forth, you eventually can accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or you accept, the Jesus, or you accept Allah. But basically, Jesus is the Son of God. Allah is another name of God, and Krishna is the name of God. So if we mix things up, that's not good. But if we go to the source of everything, just like there was once a young boy, he was an orphan, and he wasn't doing very well in life, and his parents died. So one day he was not, he was hungry. He was not eating properly, and he went up to a grocer and said, "Sir, I want to work for you for nothing." And the grocer said, "Nothing?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Well, that's good. Okay, here's this broom. Now you can start sweeping." So the boy swept most of the day inside the owner's store and outside and in the backyard and everything. And at the end of the day, the grocer was watching him all day, seeing what he was doing. And then the boy said, "Sir, I'm finished now." He said, "Okay." He said, "Do you have a place to stay? Do you have a mother and father? Are you able to eat?" And he said, "Well, the truth is, my mother and father died, and I don't have anywhere to stay. So should I come back again tomorrow to sweep and clean and things?" He said, "Yes, you can, but since you don't have anywhere to stay, why don't you stay in my backyard? There's a shed there, you can sleep there, and I'll give you some food." So the boy said, "Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much." So in this way now, because he said to the grocer, "I want to work for free." That's what every businessman wants to hear. Like, let's say you instead of asking for a salary in Microsoft, you say, "I want to work for free." Well, if you're qualified to, doing the type of work that Microsoft does, and you're working for free, well, that's a miracle, right? How many people? Any of you work for free in a company? What What do you say? Obviously not. But sometimes, and somebody will try to get a job by saying that I'll work for free. Of course, it's very rare. And obviously, if the proprietor sees that you're very serious, they will eventually take care of you. Do we actually see people working for free? The answer is yes. The devotees in the temple, not in a temple, but there are devotees that come to the temple and offer their services freely, right? And that can be for a whole lifetime. Now, how do they eat? Well, thank God the temple serves prasadam every day. So, and if you're really serious, coming every day, doing service, and taking prasadam, you'll also be able to live in the temple and engage 24 hours a day in the temple. That's what I did. 55, 56 years ago, when I joined the temple, I gave up everything else I was doing and lived in the temple as a brahmachari. And it was a very good life. Then later on, I met my wife, who was also a devotee, who was also 24 hours in the temple. And we got married, and then as soon as you get married, you have to live outside. But that was okay. We didn't stop practicing Krishna consciousness. We didn't stop serving in the temple. Of course, I got a job, and it's not right to take the money from the temple, so I got a job. But my wife was always pujari, and I was always a devotee. But and now that I was married, I had to work, and I did do that. But I was also a devotee. I was chanting my rounds. I was waking up early, and my wife also, and she was always chanting and then going to the temple and doing service all day long. Then when we started having kids, she would still go to the service even when she was pregnant. And but over time, one kid and two kids and three kids, we had 6 kids. So by that time, she couldn't go every day to the temple, but she would chant her rounds. And whenever she had some free time, she would go to the temple to do service. So becoming a devotee is very important if you want to have a spiritual life. Now, what does it mean to become a devotee? It means you become devoted to serving God in one way or another. And there are many ways of serving God or Krishna. The easiest way is chanting Hare Krishna, because the Krishna mantra is non-different than God. So if you're chanting always Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if you had beads, just like we have beads here, so there's 108 beads. This is a 109th bead. It's called the Krishna bead. And you chant on each bead, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now someone might say, why should I do this? I mean, and you're saying the same thing over and over again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because we are associating directly with Krishna by chanting his holy names. And someone might say, well, I don't see him, so how can you say I'm associating with him? Well, you're associating through the sound vibration of the holy name. You see, there's different ways of association. One way is through your eyes. You see someone. Another way is you talk to someone that you don't see. That's like with a telephone or something like that, right? But chanting the holy names of the Lord, there's no difference between the Lord and the vibration of his name. oh, now we're coming into a transcendental philosophy in which the person and the name of the person are not indifferent. Like, for example, a person whose name is Joe and Joe himself are different. But when you identify yourself as a devotee and engage in devotional service and always chant Hare Krishna, at that time your real identity is established. And what is our real identity? Well, it has to be something eternal because we have an eternal soul. It cannot be something related to the body because the body has a period of life and death. And then and it's always changing. So we cannot say I'm this body, but we can say I'm the eternal servant of Krishna because we have an eternal soul. And then if we engage in Krishna's service, then we'll have eternal life also. So, well, we all are eternal, but because we're eternal, we can take birth and death eternally in the material world because we're eternal. Or we can realize how to engage in eternal activities like chanting Hare Krishna, like coming to the temple, like doing devotional service. Then we actually can go back to Godhead with where we came from. We were all originally with Krishna. We are all part and parcel of Krishna. What does that mean, part and partial? That means that we all come originally from Krishna. He expanded us because he's expanded everything, the material world, the spiritual world, the living entities, and so forth. And he's maintaining everything. The birds, the bees, all these different species, and of course human beings. And so therefore, nothing is independent of Krishna. And if we realize that, then we become Krishna conscious. Nothing is independent of Krishna. Everything is related to him because everything is coming from him because he is the source of everything. So when we learn these things, we become Krishna conscious. And you should teach this early on to your children so that they don't get contaminated in the public schools. You should from an early age, and don't put them in public schools because they're going to learn things that are not Krishna conscious or how to not be Krishna conscious. They will see other kids eating meat. They will have peer pressure to break principles of Krishna consciousness by the kids and by the teachers. And eventually you'll regret that you put them in those type of schools. The best thing is to educate your children yourself. Why not? Previously, children were educated by their parents, and or there would be a sadhu living in the neighborhood, and he would educate the kids for free. And of course, they would give him some dan, a little bit of financial support, but it was very simple education. They didn't have a classroom with 40 kids in it. The sadhus would be educating kids, especially grihasta men or women would educate the children basically for free, but then people would always give some donation in appreciation of it. So education is a strange thing. There are a lot of things that are called education but are not real education. What is real education? When a person learns how to free themselves from the cycle of birth and death, that's real education. Because learning differential equations will not liberate you at the moment of death. It might get you a job for a certain number of years, but at the moment of death, you can write down, all kinds of things that you learned in school, but none of that will free you from the cycle of birth and death. The only thing that can free us from the cycle of birth and death is to always remember Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now that's important. The key word there is remember. You see, material life is forgetfulness of Krishna. And in order to engage in sinful activities, you really have to forget Krishna. A person who wants to drink liquor and enjoy illicit sex and things like that, they have to forget Krishna, because if Krishna is in their mind all the time, and they do things like that, they won't be able to do it with let's say, a clear consciousness, because they know that they're committing sinful activity. There was this one Muslim guy in the news. He had purchased a woman for sense gratification. This is when a certain sect of people were, the women of that sect were kidnapped by these Muslims, and the women were sold for like $24 or $30. And he was using the woman that he bought. I think he only spent $25 to buy her, and using her for illicit activities. But every time he finished his illicit activity, of course the woman was being forced, then he prayed to Allah to purify his sinfulness. Now see, that's not really purification. You can't violate someone's sanctity and then pray purposely, and then pray to God for purification. That won't work, because it's not sincere. You can't violate someone else and then think that God is going to forgive you. And violate meaning purposely violating someone. If it's accidental, or if it was done, let's say maybe one time because of certain type of weakness, but giving it up, that can be excused, but not if you purposely do it and then think that you can free yourself from any reactions by praying to God. It's not going to work, because you're violating another person's sanctity. So everybody has a right to be protected and to live a peaceful life. And if you interfere into their life and start abusing them, that's very sinful. But unfortunately today that's going on a lot. Like, for example, you can see what's happening in Gaza. There's a war going on there, and the Israelis, they have so many armaments given to them by the United States to kill the Gazans, and they're killing hundreds and thousands and eventually millions of them, and it's a massacre. The Gazan Muslims, they don't have airplanes and these very, very big bombs that 2,000-pound bombs and things like that, but the Israelis do. And where do they get them from? The United States. So the United States is supplying them all these huge bombs and air and fighter planes and things like that, and they're using it on these Muslim people in Gaza. So it's a massacre. It's a genocide. Now, are the Gazan Muslims, are they saints? No, they're not saints. They are ordinary people. They have their own religion, and they also commit sinful activities. And what are their sinful activities? Well, most of them eat meat. And most of the Israelis also eat meat. Of course, they'll say, well, it's kosher meat. and the Gazan Muslims say, well, we only eat meat that has been blessed. What did he call that? That's halal meat, right? But still, they're killing an animal and eating it. So both are doing sinful things, and both are also engaging in, like, say, retaliatory acts that are, lethal. However, there are some people, whether they're Israeli or they are Palestinians, who don't want to do these things. They want to have a spiritual life and a peaceful life where there's no more killing and hatred and things like that. So sometimes they escape and come to other countries where they can practice their religion and they can get a job and things like that, to free themselves. Like, for example, my father and mother both were living in Turkey, and at one time there were massive massacre of the Armenians there, and somehow or other they escaped miraculously, and they came to the United States to free themselves from being massacred. And then they were able to get married and then have some kids and raise them and work honestly. No, Hare Krishna. Oh, glory to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, people are unfortunately subjected to war, and war is a horrible thing. And oftentimes, children also nowadays are being killed. See, in previous times, when there was war, only the kings would fight. So one king's fighting with another king, and he kills him, and the war is over. They weren't like, throwing bombs and killing children and women and people's houses and things like that. It was between two kings. And when one king was killed, that was it. It was all over. Then later on, it became armies were fighting, but they never, or they didn't purposely kill children and women and attack people that are unarmed. And then it advanced again, and now there was indiscriminate killing that's going on now, where women and children are killed, and it's horrible. Previously, there was organized battles where there were rules of battle that people followed. When you see the Battle of Kurukshetra, they followed certain rules, and then, of course, Duryodhana started breaking the rules, and eventually, he was defeated by the Pandavas, and so many people died. But they were only soldiers; they were not children, they were not women. The only people that died were the soldiers. Today, everybody's being killed. There's no more discrimination. Then bombs are being thrown indiscriminately in populated areas, and children are being killed, or they're being maimed, losing arms or legs. It's horrible what's happening today. So somehow or other we have to exist in this world, and the best way to exist and be protected is to chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna will protect you. Konteha pratijanihi, name bhakta pranasyati. So Krishna tells Arjuna, Konteha is another name of Arjuna, it says, I will always protect you. So our best protection is to be a devotee of Radha and Krishna, and they guarantee you protection. So if if people are trying to kill you, they can try, but somehow or other, in a miraculous way, you'll be saved. Just like my mother, she was born in Turkey, and at one time the Turks were massacring the Armenians, and her whole family was massacred. And she was left alone in the desert in Del Azur, only 7 years old. She was left to die, but she was picked up by a Muslim family, a Turkish Muslim family. They saved her life, and miraculously she survived. And as she got older, after the war was over, French gendarmes and Armenian priests went door to door in Del Azur, and they took away any of the children from the Muslim families that had picked up the children to Turkify them, and they were put into. My mother was put into a Christian Catholic monastery, and saved her life miraculously. So, and then eventually, she grew older, and she eventually was able to come to the United States, and eventually got married. But it was all miraculous because she was left without a family when she was only 8 years old, and spent a lot of time in orphanages. And eventually, she grew up, and by miracle, she came to the United States, and eventually was married and had 3 sons. So everybody has some history in this world, but if we are protected by the mercy of Krishna, even in the worst situations, somehow or other, by Krishna's mercy, we will be protected. We should have that mercy. Konteha pratichanhi nami bhakta pranasyati. Krishna says, declare it loudly, Arjuna, that my devotee will never perish. So we have to have that faith. And we have to always have the names of God on our lips and our mind. Not only we chant on beads, but we can also chant silently in our mind, always. Just like sometimes you might have a friend who's talking nonsense all the time about what the stock market is doing and the vacation they're going to take, and out of, let's say, you're forced to talk to them a little bit, or at least listen to them. But while they're talking all that nonsense, you can be chanting silently in the mind, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, until they finish talking nonsense. And then they realize that although you're not saying it out loud, they can see there's something going on. You're not exactly listening to them with excitement and deep attention. And, because why? Because you're not interested in hearing their nonsense, the vacation they're going to take or the stocks that they're going to buy and so forth. So one time I did a program in a wealthy person's house, and during the program, only the women were there. It was a big house, and I was a little surprised. And after I finished my class, I started walking around the house, and then in one part of the house, all the men were there. They didn't come to the class, and there was a group of them, and they were all listening to one man speak, and there was a large number of men there, and some of the people that are a little bit farther away, they were sort of like bending their ear like this, and to try and hear what he was saying. So I also, got on the outskirts of that discussion. I also put my ear like that to hear what they were saying. And the man was talking. He was actually talking with a little bit of, let's say, quietness. You're saying, and in '02, I bought Microsoft stock. And all of a sudden everyone said, "Oh!" And one guy who was standing next to me, he almost fainted when he said that, because if you bought stock in 2002 or something like that and held it, you'd be a multimillionaire today, right? So they were very interested. They didn't come to the class. I had given the class, but there were all women in the class, then none of the men. They were all listening. This was like in 1999 or something like that, almost the end of that century. And so 2 years later, I went back to the same group of people. This time, all the men were in the temple, were listening to the class. Why? Because they lost most of their money because there was a serious downturn in the stock market. So they were listening to the class now, whereas before they were only listening to how to make more money. So when there's a downturn in the stock market and people losing money, some people commit suicide because they have no relationship with God. A person that commits suicide is because they have no relationship with God. All they know is money, and if they lose all their money after having money, they don't see any way that they can be happy, so they commit suicide. It's because they're spiritually bankrupt. But a person who is spiritually blessed with Krishna consciousness or faith in God, even in the worst situation, they won't commit suicide, and they will somehow or other be, safe from death and misery by the mercy of God. Just like one time, Srila Prabhupada himself, during a wartime, when things were really hard in India, he did a little survey. He went around to all the houses of the Vaishnavas and asked them, "How are you doing?" And and all of them said, "Well, by the mercy of Krishna, we're all surviving." So Prabhupada why did he do that? Because he wanted to see how the Vaishnavas were doing, because Krishna promises, "Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranasati," that my devotee will never perish. And sure enough, all the Vaishnava families were somehow or other able to, feed their kids and survive. So therefore, we have to have this faith in the statements of Krishna. And that's why Krishna says, "Say it boldly, Arjuna, that my devotees will never perish." So why doesn't Krishna say that? Why does he tell Arjuna to say that? Because sometimes Krishna may not keep his promises. Just like he promised not to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but when he saw that Bhisma Pitamaha was going to kill Arjuna, he stopped Bhisma. And Bhisma said, "Ha, you see how much you love your devotee? You violated your promise." So sometimes great devotees may violate their promise, but therefore Krishna asked Arjuna to say that Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranasati, my devotee will never be killed or let's say harmed, because Arjuna will not tell a lie. But sometimes Krishna may tell a lie in order to save his devotees. Now, why would he do that? Well, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can do anything he wants. He's not subject to the laws of karma. The laws of karma are under his superintendence, so he can do whatever he wants. But devotees, real devotees, strictly follow the principles of Dharma. What is Dharma? Dharma is how to properly act in this world. These are principles of how you can organize your life and how you should act. So the principles of Dharma are based on Vedic knowledge, that we should engage our life hearing regularly the names of God, chanting regularly the names of God, hearing genuine devotees speaking the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, engaging in spiritual activities like artis and chanting Hare Krishna and so forth. In this way, they are protected by the mercy of Krishna. That's the best life insurance you can get. And you don't have to pay a penny for it. You just have to sincerely chant the names of God and give up all sinful activity. It's the sinful activity that's causing all the trouble in the world today. And what is amazing is people don't even realize they're committing sins. They don't even realize it. The meat eating, the gambling, and so forth, illicit sex, they don't realize that these are sinful activities. They used to before at least know that it was sinful. Now they don't even know it's sinful because they're not being educated. And it's very, very well. The educational system is actually not very good today because most of the teachers are atheists. They don't really believe in God. And you send your kids to be educated by them, they will eventually, in one way or another, teach your kids to be like themselves, their own culture of meat eating and so forth. So, and don't think that this doesn't happen. It definitely is happening. Today's teachers are not actually real teachers. They are people who are trying to convince children to take up sinful life because they don't believe that those things are sinful. Abortion, they don't think it's sinful. They do it. Changing their sex, they don't believe it's sinful. Eating meat, they don't believe it's sinful. They believe that, you have a right to do all these things. So it's a dangerous time that we're living in, and a lot of horrible things are happening in society. Now, we want to do everything possible to help people understand their relationship with God. Because if you believe in God, then you won't do horrible things. You only do good things. Chant Hare Krishna, dance, glorify the Lord, eat only prasadam, distribute prasadam, and books about Krishna, how people can make spiritual advancement and so forth. You only do good things. You don't do bad things. But a lot of people nowadays don't even know what they're doing is bad. They think it's okay. Right? So this is dangerous time. Whereas previously it was very clear there are certain things that are sinful and there are certain things that are spiritual. Today it's all mixed up, and they think that not everybody, but a lot of people think that, like for example, the Christians think that eating meat is okay. Right? The Muslims also think that eating meat is okay. Now it's just confusing. There was this one gentleman who was working in a company, and there was a coworker that was Muslim and a coworker that was Krishna consciousness. So one day the Muslim coworker was talking to this man, and he said, oh, well, we just did Ramadan. It was wonderful. We killed about 100 cows, and we ate the meat, and it was just the most spiritual, wonderful experience. And then one devotee was talking to the same man, and he said, oh, well, we just had a wonderful festival where we had vegetarian food, and we were glorifying Krishna, and we never killed any animals. So he got confused. He said, both are spiritual men. At least they claim to be spiritual. One is boasting about how many animals they killed and ate, and to make God happy. And the other one is saying we never eat any of the animals. So he got a little confused, right? Uh, this is what's happening today. There's, let's say, diametrically different philosophies that people are following, and what is like forbidden in one and the other, they glorify it, right? The Muslim told, the more animals you kill on Ramadan, the more God is happy. And the other person, a devotee, is saying, we never eat meat and we always chant Hare Krishna. So people get confused. However, devotees should not be confused. If they associate with good devotees, they will not be confused. If they associate with non-devotees, they will get confused over time, because non-devotees, they nonchalantly, or not without any question of being confused, they eat meat and they commit sinful activities and they think it's okay. So we need to associate with devotees. Now that doesn't mean we can't work with co-workers who are non-devotees. It just means that we do not engage in their cultural activities. Like, for example, at lunchtime, we don't sit down with a friend or a co-worker who is eating meat and watch him eat the meat and tell you how good it is, because that would and then they offer it to you also, and they say, would you like some meat? You say, no, I'm a vegetarian. You're a vegetarian? Are you sick? In other words, they think that if you're a vegetarian, it's because you might be sick or something. And then, imagine with your own children, they go to school, and in the lunchtime, a lot of the kids are eating meat, and then they say to your child, do you want some meat? And the child says, no, I'm a vegetarian, and they look, oh, you're a vegetarian, are you sick? So that peer pressure, whether it's amongst adults or it's among children, is very disconcerting for the children. That's why, in my opinion, it's better not to send your children to these type of schools. That the children should be educated at home. It's called home schooling. It's legal in the state of Washington. Now you might say, well, how can I educate my own kids? The way to educate them is find other families in the same situation you're in, and you work cooperatively, 2 or 3 families working to educate your own kids at home. If you do it by yourself, okay, you can still do it by yourself. I know families that raise their kids at home without the help of other families. But it's good to have a group of families who have the same, let's say, values, and that don't want their kids to be contaminated by the schools today. So you have to find the right association or the right sangha, and get help and the support by others, and then your children won't feel as if they have no friends. They like to grow up with other children, but if the other children in school are meat eaters and talking nonsense and bullying your kids, it's not a good thing to put them in those schools. But if the other kids are also like your kid, families that are spiritually inclined and to follow Sanatana Dharma, that's much, much better. And in other words, the teacher and the kids all have the same culture and philosophical understanding that you have. And that's the ideal situation for educating your kids. Or if you can't find that type of a situation, then you should educate your children at home. Don't send them to school where they get poisoned. And find other families in the same situation you're in. And you will. Krishna will help you. And that way you have a group working together, and your kids are not at home alone only with you. They have some friends. All kids like to have friends. It's very important for them. But if those friends are not devotees, then the kids become influenced by that. Okay, I'll stop right there. Are there any questions you would like to ask? Any questions that you may have about Krishna or Krishna consciousness? Don't ask me what the stock market is going to do Monday. I don't know. But you can ask me something about spiritual life, and I will answer it. Hare Krishna. If you don't have any questions, I'll ask you a question and see if you can answer it. Why do you think it's so important to chant Hare Krishna? Why not just chant Hallelujah? What do you think? Why? What's so important about chanting Hare Krishna? You can live without ever chanting Hare Krishna, right? There are many people who don't chant Hare Krishna until their death, and after they die, they realize they should have chanted Hare Krishna. Yeah, of course. But they might not understand that during their human birth, but when they die, they never really died. They have, everyone is eternal. They're not going to stop existing. This is the false narrative of Christianity and maybe Islam also. They actually think this. Some people cease to exist when they die. That's not true, right? We all have an eternal soul. We never cease to exist. Why? Because we come originally from Krishna himself, who is eternal. So we have an eternal soul. So we never die and stop existing. That's like one of the first things we have to teach our children. Otherwise, you get these strange theories that are false. And the atheists today, they will teach that you only live once, and when you die, there's nothing. That's the atheist philosophy, and that therefore they avoid the reality of having karma. They think there's no karma because when you die and there's nothing. So if you want to be an atheist, you just need to know these two things, that you only live once, and when you die, there's nothing. So therefore, engage in all the sense gratification you want, and when you die, there's no judgment, nothing. So that's enough to make anybody an atheist. And this is what most people believe today. Have you ever been with people that believe that when you die, there's nothing? Anybody? Huh? Yeah, lots of people. Ask your coworkers. Oh, of course, there are some people who are like Christians, or some people that may be Muslim. They believe, that you have eternal life. But most people don't, unfortunately. And because of that, if you think you only have this one life, then they want to use it to be happy. And unfortunately, happiness today is how much sex you have, and how much money you have, and the different vacations that you take, and the car that you have, and the house that you have, and things like that. Success is determined by all these material things and possessions. And in the spiritual world, and in spiritual times, success was determined by how much love you have for Krishna or for God. Previously, when two saintly people would meet each other, they wouldn't say, hello, how you doing? They would say, and how are your efforts going to free yourself from the cycle of birth and death? That's how they would say hello. So that's real. You know, that's real hello. Okay, no questions. Then we will stop now and continue tomorrow, chanting Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Always chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Exactly. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
It feels so good to have you back in the morning class. It feels like I was in Bhagan Mission and I woke up today.